Hey everyone, I want to talk all about rumination, some of the common myths I like to break down when I talk about rumination, why everything we hear in the mainstream mental health community surrounding rumination is only partially correct, and why the nonstop battle to stop ruminating ends up being a constant search to force acceptance. Now, there's a couple big articles that I'm usually confronted with a lot when I'm talking about rumination. I'm going to break those articles down specifically, and I'm going to tell you and read from my post that I made on Wednesday in our Facebook group. If you're not a member of our Facebook group, it's the fastest growing group of mental health, specifically around OCD. We have 17.9 thousand members, almost at 18,000 members. And before I go any further, please subscribe. Please comment down below on this video. I'd like to know your opinions on rumination. I want to know if these are things you heard or haven't heard, if this is something you've been struggling with, and if the information I portray in this video has been helpful for your OCD and anxiety recovery journey. Again, this is not just for OCD, it's for OCD and anxiety-based journeys because they both come with rumination processes. And if you need help to recover from OCD and or other anxiety-based disorders, please email us at info@ocdrecovery.com. Again, that is info@ocdrecovery.com, and we will get back to you in a timely fashion. Now, I'm going to jump right into my post that I wrote, and as I'm reading it, we're going to break down different myths that I hear. Wednesday Insights: how to wear rumination, why the rumination cycle is much more automatic than we'd imagine, and how to bring down intrusive thoughts, images, sensation, urges, and bring them along for the ride. I think we've all heard the statement before. Your number one goal is to decrease rumination. Maybe even rumination is completely in your control and all you have to do is not engage. There is a degree of this particular intro that is correct. The number one article surrounding rumination is the most popular article, and the basis of that article is that rumination is primarily in the hands of your disclosure, and that you can bring it down by just not engaging. There's other big communities, YouTube channels that talk about the number one goal is to bring down rumination, which is entirely incorrect, as rumination takes orders from beliefs, not thoughts, and certainly not rumination. So saying that we're going to bring down rumination as a primary mode of recovery doesn't quite substantiate how problematic the beliefs play in your overall cycle, which we're going to break that down. I know I have. I also know I tried this for years with little to no results. Why? Why didn't actively trying to bring down rumination work like so many articles and experts proclaimed? Because it's not as simple as 99% state, nor is rumination something that's entirely in your control. Now, this is a very, very good second paragraph, because when you read the major stuff on rumination, what tends to happen is OCD and anxiety sufferers go around in circles trying to decrease all of the rumination. Now, there is a large degree of your rumination process that you do actively try to solve, like a math problem. You're sitting on the desk, you're sitting on the couch, you're laying in your bed, and you're actively trying to decrease your analyzing. Yes, there is a degree of that is in your control, but a large degree of your rumination cycle, especially when you wake up, when you go places where you want to enjoy, whether it's vacations, wedding, birthday parties, going to the movies, or even watching Netflix and relaxing, or stuff like work, because I love working, so OCD really came to turn the heat up in work, and that rumination cycle was something I had to wear. Next paragraph. I always use this example. Think about having a virus. Let's use COVID-19. When you have COVID, it presents with different symptoms, coughing per se. But the number one goal isn't to stop the coughing, it's to eliminate or decrease the virus. As the virus comes down, the coughing subsides as well. This analogy is the best example of why rumination isn't as simple as most imagine. Rumination is primarily a symptom of our core fear. Yes, there is a degree where you're actively trying to solve, but it's not what most believe. Now, when you're sick or you have a flu and you're coughing and you're wheezing, those symptoms, as I said, come down as the virus goes away, is eradicated, or it comes down in theory. Whether you take antibiotics, you take a vaccine, you eat healthier, you exercise, and just time in general. This is the same principle. Rumination, when you wake up in the morning, primarily intrusive thoughts, images, sensation, urges, are manifested from the core fear. As you become more accepting of your worst case scenario and your core fear, intrusive rumination cycles tend to come down in theory. We see this a lot. When you're scared of having intrusive thoughts, you might experience this throughout the day. You're at work with your children, walking the dog, making dinner. Intrusive thoughts are blasting away in a bullet-type fashion. You think, Why can't I make this go away? Simply put, because you're still scared of your worst case scenario. How about this example? I know the majority of us can relate to this. Within 5 seconds of opening our eyes, OCD remembers our suffering experience and comes in with full tilt. Wabam! Chronic anxiety, shame, and guilt. Do you think we have control over this? Of course not. It's automatic and will need to be warned as you go about your day as best as you can. So as you're waking up in the morning and you're thinking, why am I ruminating? How to stop ruminating? Yes, there is a degree that you're actively engaging in. If you're sitting in bed, if you're thinking, I have to watch a video, I have to read a post, you've been saving posts, massive compulsion. Watching videos when you're triggered, massive compulsion, simple things to fall into. So the major takeaways from this article is this. Rumination, intrusive thoughts, images, sensation, urges, primarily are automatic. We want to lean into this automatic process, no matter how intrusive, as we go about our day as best as possible. Yes, there is a large degree where we actively try to solve, and no, you won't be able to draw a line in the sand on what's automatic and what isn't. This is the other side of the coin. You say to me, well, how do I know what's automatic and how do I know what's not? You won't be able to. There is some degree where you could say, you know what, I'm sitting down on the couch right now. It would benefit me to do my homework or read or go back to work. I'm going to walk up and get away from this. But that rumination process is going to follow you like a dark cloud around your head for potentially months or even years as you break down your fear cycle. As we change our beliefs and distance ourselves from our automatic rumination and work on our core fears, accepting our worst case scenario, the automatic bullet type rumination tends to come down. Remember, it's a symptom of our core fear. This is the largest misconception in OCD and anxiety recovery. Rumination is something you have direct control over. That is the myth. Again, there is a large degree that the person is actively trying to solve, but there is a large degree, like a symptom, the cough from a flu, that will need to be worn until the virus comes down, and in this particular example, the core fear. How this looks in the flow pattern, and of course it's much more complex than this, but just for simplicity, you have a core fear. That core fear produces intrusive rumination, intrusive thoughts, images, sensation, urges, which branches off into fear of noticing that forever. That comes down with a realness, comes in 0 to 100, aka why we say it feels as real as it can get. That branches down into different compulsions and avoidance behaviors, compulsively trying to escape. Reassurance, venting, self-reassuring, physical reassurance, needing to be around spouses, compulsively researching, etc., that reinstills the fear. As the cycle goes on longer, the break between your compulsions and avoidance behaviors gives you less and less and less relief until you get to a place where you are chronically anxious and have symptoms all day long, 24/7, and you have to start picking away at your irrational beliefs and wearing the rumination cycle. Again, to summarize, a degree of it, yes, these articles have some correct points. There are points where you could stop actually engaging. No, you're not going to be able to get certainty on what's automatic and what isn't. And for the most part, understanding the rumination process cycle is something that will need to be worn like a symptom when you're sick is key. Thank you so much for watching this video. This is a topic I've highly educated myself on because I went through it myself. Spending time trying to decrease my rumination all day long was a compulsion. It was trying to force recovery. It's completely understandable that the #1 articles I read misinterpret this, as 99.9% of them never had chronic OCD. And the people who have said they had OCD, when they talk about these tactics, I know they're either coasting with symptoms and don't say it, or, well, I don't know for sure, but I can only imagine, or they had mild OCD. Many people with mild OCD or even didn't have OCD and just had strong irrational beliefs, but perpetuated the idea that they had chronic OCD. Again, no way to know for sure. They used some of these tactics, went on their way and saw results, and they substantiated these claims for chronic OCD. It's simply not the case. We tend to work with the worst cases in the world. We work with 40, 50, 60 different countries, and we see how this doesn't work. Thank you so much. And again, info@OCD Recovery. We hope to hear from you soon. A lot of great webinars coming up. Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. UK time. And hopefully talk soon. Have a good one, everyone.